Have you ever had that experience that no matter how hard you try at something, no matter how hard you work, how many takes you do on a video, or how many seminars, classes, whatever it is that you're doing to try to achieve a result, you keep hitting a glass ceiling or this invisible wall that you just can't move past? Whether you're trying to make more money, but you keep ending up at a certain range that you just can't get past, or maybe you're trying to lose weight, but you just can't get out of this zone, or maybe it's relationships and you keep attracting the same partner, even though you desire to have maybe someone that's a little bit more evolved in some way. What I'm going to share with you today is why that invisible force exists and what you can do to shatter it so that it's no longer in your way and you can more easily achieve whatever desired outcome is that you're looking to achieve. So let's say this is you and you're doing everything humanly possible to try to achieve your desired state, your desired results, your goals. But no matter what you do, you keep hitting this invisible force, this glass ceiling. And it's imagine you're a fly and you see the outside. You're inside a house and you see the outside and you're like, that's where I want to go. I want to go be at that tree right there. And you're flying into the window and you are getting stuck on the window and you can't go through, and you fly even harder at the window and you just keep hitting your head on the window. And it's not making any sense. You're trying all these different spots, you're trying to get through, but you can't. And that's what it feels like. You're here doing all this work, trying to achieve these results that live out here, right? Everything you want is out here, but you keep hitting this invisible force and you feel defeated. You're struggling, you're stuck, you don't know what to do. Now, I bet you, the people who are watching my channel, you have probably gone to talk therapy. You've probably done some self-reflection and inner work on yourself. You've probably listened to podcasts on how to have a better strategy, how to, become a better person. You've probably done the mindset work. You've probably listened to tons, if not read tons of self-help books, or even talked endlessly to ChatGPT, and you still feel stuck and you're struggling and you don't know why you can't break past a certain point in your life. So let me tell you something right now. Before I tell you how to change all this, which I'm going to tell you, I want to talk about what this invisible force is and why it's there. This invisible force is here to keep you safe. To your subconscious mind, anything beyond here is not safe. So this is the realm of not safe, not survivable. Okay? So before I get into this, one of the ways that you're going to change this invisible force is you need to update your subconscious mind. Okay? So that's one of the ways here that you're going to change this, is your subconscious mind. Okay, that's one of the ways you're going to change this invisible force. Now, your subconscious mind, the thing that's really important to understand about your subconscious mind is that it wants you to be safe. That's its number one job. Number one job, that's a one. Keep human alive. If it doesn't do that, it's failing, because then it doesn't exist anymore. Now, your subconscious mind has a ton of beliefs that run it, okay? Now, we have conscious beliefs and subconscious beliefs. We have a conscious mind and we have a subconscious mind. Our conscious beliefs we're aware of. Our subconscious beliefs we are not aware of. It's below, sub means below conscious awareness. So you have a ton of beliefs that are invisible to you, which makes this invisible boundary, this invisible barrier that you can't break through. So these invisible beliefs are adding to this invisible layer. Let me give you an example. I had a client who came to me and his desired state was he wanted to thrive in his business. He didn't want to just survive and make it by. He wanted to thrive. And thriving to him was equated with a certain number. Now, he was making $60,000 through his business after all of it was said and done. And he noticed over years, he was just making $60,000 after all the expenses and the bills and everything was paid for. That's what he ended up with. Now he wanted to double that. He wanted to reach $120,000. But anytime he tried to do something which would get him up there, he was met with resistance. He was met with videos not working, videos not uploading. Something was coming at him that was keeping him in the safe zone, okay? In this zone. This is what's safe. Your subconscious mind wants to keep you safe. So how do these beliefs in your subconscious mind get formed? They get formed mostly from your childhood trauma, from what you experience in childhood. These can get handed down to you from your parents and your grandparents. You can form them based on what you survive. So the trauma that you survive as a little one gets programmed into your subconscious mind as survivable because you lived through it. You made it through the trauma. So your subconscious mind goes, oh, well, we lived through that. So obviously that experience is survivable. So what ends up happening is your subconscious mind will go out there and be attracted to similar people and experiences because it knows how to survive it. Let me give you an example so it's easier to follow. You grow up in a household that is highly dysfunctional and you see how your parents interact with each other. You see how they interact with you. Maybe you survive a lot of emotional neglect or verbal abuse. And so your subconscious mind goes, oh, that's survivable. We can survive that because you're here to tell the story. Now, you're an adult and you go out into the world and you wonder why you keep attracting partners who are emotionally unavailable or maybe verbally abusive. They have a similar frequency to your parents or to the environment that you grew up in, okay? That's creating this invisible wall because your subconscious mind feels safe in that particular bubble. So if you want to change this, one of the things you need to do is change these beliefs. A cluster of beliefs, a ton of these subconscious and conscious beliefs create your identity. This is who you are as a person. If you, and here's another example, this, even though they're an adult, when they were little, they grew up in a home, and I'll refer to my client that I was working with. He had an abusive father, verbally abusive, emotionally abusive. And he learned early on that, or his subconscious mind learned, in order to be safe in that home, I need to not be seen. Do you think, I'm sure there's some entrepreneurs out there that are never seen and are very successful, but for the most part, when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you got to put yourself out there. You have to be seen. And for him, this is one of the beliefs that was getting in the way of him being able to thrive as an entrepreneur in the ways that he would like, okay? He wasn't able to pass this because he needs to be seen in a bigger way than he's ever been seen before. But something in his subconscious mind constricts at the thought of being seen in that kind of way. So it can sabotage his experience. So you might not consciously think you are sabotaging yourself when it comes to your success, but it'll almost manifest in that way in order to keep you in that limit, in order to keep you in that safe zone. It can manifest in so many strange ways. He could be on the way to an event, a workshop, where he could sign on a bunch of new clients. But on the way to the workshop, his car breaks down, or he ends up in traffic, where he ends up late to the workshop. So it can manifest in so many different ways because your subconscious mind is really powerful. It is doing its best to keep you safe. So this is one of the ways that invisible wall is there. Now, some people will tell you it's your mindset. You know, you need to think positive, you need to be positive, and while that is very important, your mindset can be affected by the identity that you hold. If you have a set of beliefs that correlate to an identity of low self-worth, that could equal a negative mindset. Oh, nothing ever works out for me. I mean, why bother trying? I try and try and try and I never get seen. What's the point? That's a negative mindset, and it can be a result of those beliefs. So when you change your beliefs, when you reprogram those subconscious beliefs, which is what I do with my clients, I help them reprogram their subconscious beliefs to update their identity, the mindset is naturally going to shift to become more positive because it matches with that new identity. So what we needed to do for my client is help him to have an identity of a successful entrepreneur. So we worked on his beliefs, updating his beliefs. Things started shifting in his business. Another thing that most people will not look at, and this is a huge one, because when you shift this, it's like magic. Things just that were unavailable to you before become available. The other one is looking at your ancestral trauma. Now you can do the mindset work you want. You can shift the beliefs all you want, and while that's going to have a huge impact, if you really want to move these invisible mountains that stand in your way, these invisible barriers, you're going to want to look at healing the trauma that happened to your ancestors. Now you might be wondering, Jess, what does it matter? My ancestors died hundreds, thousands of years ago. How does any of that have an impact on me? Well, if you look at epigenetics, the trauma that your ancestors experience alter the DNA structure, and that gets handed down to you. So it's in your cells. And when I worked with my client on this, again, his desired state, what he wanted was to thrive in his business, to go from making $60,000 to $120,000. What ended up showing up in his session that we did together was, and I'm going to erase some of this to illustrate it for you. What he ended up sharing was that his sister died young. She died about 5 years old. Now, that's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking to lose a sibling that young. And what was happening for him is there's what's called survivor's guilt. And he was experiencing survivor's guilt because here he is, wanting to thrive in his business, wanting to receive more of what life has to offer. But in his system, in his family system, this little one isn't able to thrive. This little one lost their life. And so for my client, he feels an unconscious survivor's guilt that he's not aware of that's causing this invisible ceiling to not budge no matter how hard he works. Now, why is this important? Because if we have survivor's guilt, we're going to feel guilty if we thrive. We're going to feel guilty if we're successful. Because how dare I have success when my little sister didn't even make it? So when you heal this and address this and release that, this wall can start to break apart so that it's easier to move. We can move it up now. Another way that ancestral trauma can show up for people in this context is, let's say, you have your, this person has their father and mother and their grandparents and their great-grandparents. Now let's say those ancestors, your grandparents or great-grandparents, were poor. Maybe they were potato farmers back in the day, and they learned that they needed to constantly be working just to survive. That if they stopped working, it could mean death. That is going to live in the cells of this individual, whether they're conscious of it or not. So they could have something running that says, if I were to have it easy, that would actually, here's the thing about the subconscious mind I want you to understand. One of the ways it guarantees your survival is by having you belong to the group. If you belong to a group, so if you're like your tribe, if you're like the group's going to want to have you around, and you'll have the protection of the group. Now, on a family level, on an energetic level, the human being that was born into a particular family, the biological family, they want to belong to their group. So in order to belong to the group, you have to be like the tribe. And in order to be like the tribe, he too is going to need to have to struggle in order to survive. Okay? If he isn't like that, he's going to be violating his right to belong to his family. And that is not safe to the subconscious mind. I know this is a lot. Nobody talks about this stuff, but I figured, like, why not explain it so you guys can at least kind of have this percolating in the back of your mind. So all of this can be healed. All of this is revisable. So don't think like, oh my goodness, I can't move past this. You can move past it. This is what I do. This is what I help people with. I've done the same thing. A lot of people have that operating and they don't even realize that that's what's operating. So once you start to heal this, once you start to address the subconscious mind, these unconscious beliefs or subconscious beliefs and the ancestral trauma, naturally, of course, it's going to help shift your mindset. You can start to break apart this invisible wall. And then what was once unsafe to the subconscious mind this becomes the new level of safety. Okay? So this is his new invisible wall. Now I know I said you could shatter it, which is what we did right here. We shattered that invisible wall. But you know that expression they say, like, new level, new devil? I don't really like that expression, but every time we revise these beliefs, every time we heal this trauma, what ends up happening is that invisible wall starts going up and up and up and up. And what becomes survivable starts to become greater, right? Now there's all of this that can be survivable. Now he can be seen in a bigger way, and that becomes survivable to the subconscious mind, whereas before it wasn't. So as this individual wants to reach for more and more and more in life, you're going to have to update the identity and those subconscious beliefs to match the identity of the person that has that invisible wall that's much higher. So that, my friends, is how you shatter that invisible wall so that the work that you do can reach farther, can have more impact. You might not have to keep taking all these courses and trainings and stuff. This could be the thing that changes everything for you. It has for me, it has for my clients. If you are interested in working together, I'm going to leave a link in the description below for a complimentary 15-minute Zoom call. And we can see if working together is a good fit. And if you got any value out of this video today, please give this video a thumbs up and comment. That really helps the channel grow. And I'd love to know, what is your invisible ceiling? What are you running up against right now that you just can't break past? Please let me know. And then if you are interested in learning more about how ancestral trauma can cause self-sabotage in different ways in our life, then you can go ahead and check out this video here.